It heats right through, I eat it with a bowl and spoon.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's online field trip all about oats and porridge. I'm Sam and today I'm joined by two experts. We have Richard, who's a porridge expert. Hi Richard.
Hello.
And we'll also have Peter, who's our expert Miller.
Peter.
Great stuff. Give me a wave and a cheer in your classes for me. Looking forward to learning all about oats and porridge today. Great stuff. As you can see, I'm in a traditional water mill today. This is Bunbury Mill. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's really picturesque. As you can see, we've got the water, the mill lake next door. We've got little ducks that are quacking and we're waddling past as I see. It is so lovely. We've come all the way to the northwest of the country, to a county called Worcester, to learn all about one of our favourite breakfast cereals, oats and porridge. Before we learn all about that, let's meet the schools we have taking part today. Let's go to Greenway Primary School first of all. They're in Cardiff, and it's Mrs. Donley's class that's taking part. Hello, children. Lovely to have you with us, and let's go to Herefordshire now. We've got Maiden Primary School taking part. Let's go to All Saints Primary School now in Barry, where we've got Mr. Williams' class taking part. Wow, nice and loud there, and enthusiastic bunch, but they really are. We're going to have lots of fun today, aren't we?
Lots of fun, lots to talk about, lots to see. So today we're going to talk about traditional oat milling method rather than the big industrial place of mill oats today.
Great. I can't wait to see this old mill in action. It's really beautiful, as I said. We're on the top floor of the mill at the moment. This is where the whole process starts. Because just to the side of your wheel is a door, which is where the bags of oats would be pulled through, where the farmer would pull up with his horse and cart and then attach it to the rope. And as you can see, Peter's pulling in a big bag of oats in here as well. This is where the whole process would start and they would be cleaned. And we're going to watch the whole process from then on. It's going to be really, really exciting things. Give us a wave if we're excited to learn about the whole process that porridge oats goes through.
Well, porridge, in the UK, we see about porridge from oats. So all around the world, people have different formats. They can use it with rice, they can make it with corn, and loads of concentrate of oats. They don't have a blend in Texas.
And this is the oats and water.
The only
and I know that porridge is nice. It's very healthy for you. Very healthy for you.
Jim has said that he's found out that oats and porridge are very healthy for you.
So Greenway Primary School have learned that oats and porridge are very healthy for you. Good stuff, good learning. Let's go to Maiden Primary School now to find out what's the most interesting fact they've learned about oats and porridge so far.
Hello, my name is Clara. My fact is that Russia produces the most amount of oats in the world, and they call porridge kasha.
So Maiden Primary School have learned that it's Russia that makes the most oats in the world.
Yes, then in Canada and the UK.
Great stuff. Great learning, children. You've obviously been paying lots of attention and learning all about porridge and oats in your classes before today. Let's learn some more now. This is more about porridge and its history.
Oaty porridge, our favourite breakfast cereal. People have been eating porridge for thousands and thousands of years. In fact, it's one of the oldest foods we eat. Humans first started farming in the Neolithic period, which began around 10,000 years ago. They began to grow grains, such as oats and barley, but before they learned how to make bread from the grain, they mixed it with water and made a porridge-like paste, which they then cooked over fire. Isn't it amazing to think that Neolithic people ate some of the same foods as us? And they weren't the only ones. Porridge was eaten all over Europe by invading Roman and Norman armies, as well as the seafaring Vikings. And in Victorian times, poor people who lived in the workhouses would have been served a thin, watery meal of porridge, known as gruel, just like Oliver Twist. Poorer people in Scotland would have eaten porridge 3 times a day, up until a couple of 100 years ago. And it would not have remained a daily meal throughout history had it not been so very nutritious. It contains lots of important minerals and some vitamins, as well as lots of fibre. Porridge releases its energy into our bodies slowly, so it keeps us full up for longer. It contains iron, which reduces tiredness and keeps our immune systems healthy. Magnesium and phosphorus, which help to keep us full of energy. Zinc and biotin, which help keep our hair, skin and nails tip-top. And it contains potassium, which is good for our muscles. It's not only tasty, but also extremely good for us. So now you have learned how important porridge has been throughout history, and just how many different people across Europe have eaten it for thousands of years. You can think about all of these amazing facts when you have your warm bowl of tasty porridge oats for breakfast in the morning.
Welcome back, children. We hope you enjoyed that. I can't believe we've been eating porridge for thousands of years. And my favourite fact is that the Romans and the Vikings used to eat porridge as well. That's great, isn't it? Give me a wave in the two in your classroom if you enjoyed learning that fact about the Romans and the Vikings.
You would enjoy that fact. Now, as you can see, we've moved location. We're actually down a level in the mill now, just below where we were. And this is where all the milling takes place down here. So I'm joined by Peter, who's our expert on milling. Now, Peter, this is absolutely huge, this stone here. Is this what was used for the milling?
Well, yes, Sam. This is a pair of millstones. There are 2 of them. The one I've got my foot on is called the bedstone, and that just sits on the floor. And there's this axle or shaft that comes up through the middle of it, and that goes round and round. It's driven by the gear wheels underneath, which I think we'll have a look at. And then the runner stone here is the one that's going to actually move. The 2 stones together weigh about the same as a car.
Wow.
A family car. They're heavy. And this runner stone turns over and sits on top of the axle, and it gets driven round by the gearing.
Great. So there's lots and lots of lines in here. Is that what helps?
These are grooves that are cut on the stones, and we've got a little model here to show you how the grooves work.
Okay.
So that's a model of the bedstone with the black lines of the grooves on it. That's the runner stone with the grooves on that, and they fit together like that. And as the top stone turns, you can see the grooves cut across each other. So it actually chops the oats as it goes through, and also it's pushing towards the outside all the time. If you look at the lines,
Okay,
it's just pushing to the
all
outside.
the oatmeal would be moving and then would eventually drop off the side.
The oats goes into the centre, moves to the outside and comes out.
Great
And we'll
stuff.
see that over there in a minute.
Great stuff. Well, these are so huge pieces. So how do you power these?
Well, about 2,000 years ago, people worked out you could use water power to do it. So we've got a water wheel over here. Can we go and have a look at the
let's
water
take a
wheel?
look.
Okay. So here's the wheel down here.
Wow.
Right. And at the moment there's no water going, or very little water going. When we open the sluice and let the water onto it, the weight of the water will build up and start to turn it.
Okay.
Would you like to start it?
I'd love to have a
Go
go.
on, why not?
So I just push
Move
this
that
down, do
lever,
I?
pull that lever down
Okay.
there, and the
I've
water
got the
will start
power.
to flow.
There we go.
You hear the noise of it starting up. Now look at the water here.
Here we go. So it's like a giant windmill in a sense, isn't it, really? Or maybe one of those things we have in the bar when you're little.
Yes.
Just chip the water in. There we go. Wow, here we go.
And that wheel weighs about 10 tons. That's the weight of 2 or 3 elephants.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is amazing. And so that has just made enough power for everything to start working in here.
All the wheels all going round, and we've got the millstones here that are actually doing the grinding.
Wow. Can you take a look at what the millstone actually does?
Well, let's start at the top here, because the oats comes down this chute here and goes into the hopper. So this is a hopper containing the oats, and then from there it goes down this sloping chute down here, and it drops into the middle of the millstone through the hole that's called the eye, and it comes out at the edge. And if you look down here, you can see the oatmeal coming out round the edge, and that's the actual oatmeal that's coming out round there. And then it gets carried around by the action of the wheel to a chute that's over at the back here, and it goes down the chute to the flour sack that's underneath in the basement. I think we've got a clip of the meal going through into the basement there.
Fantastic, that's great. And this mill has been working and doing this for 175 years.
175 years, that's right. But there's been a mill here on this site for over 1,000 years, we know for sure.
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Years, yeah.
That is amazing. So we have just seen what is produced from this milling process, but not all oats are produced the same, are they?
No, they aren't. The oats that people are probably more familiar with is this porridge oats, and that's made by taking the actual groats, that's the oat grains, which is that stuff, and squeezing it between rollers so that it crushes it flat to make the oat plates.
Oh, okay.
But that process was only invented in 1877.
Oh.
So when this mill was built in 1840, that didn't exist. And what we have, well, we've seen, we grind the oats between the stones, and what you get out is oatmeal, and you can grind, depending on how close together the stones are, you can either get a fairly coarse oatmeal like that, and that would make a very nice Scots type porridge.
Yes,
Or you can get a fine oat flour like that, which you can use for all sorts of other purposes, like making bread or thickening soups and stews and that sort of thing.
Great stuff. Wow, so it's quite a newish process to have more of the whole oats as well, which is my favourite way. I absolutely love eating my porridge like that, and I love putting blueberries on top as well.
Yes.
And I know that our schools have been having a go at making porridge in their classrooms and trying out different toppings to see which their favourite is. So let's go over to All Saints Primary School in Barry to find out what they've been popping on their top of their porridge.
Today, I put apple and banana on my toppings. They were my favourites.
Honey and apple and banana, absolutely delicious. I think they're my favourites as well. Let's go to Greenway Primary School now.
Hello, my name's Chloe. I found out porridge with lots of toppings, very tasty. My favourite topping was bananas and raisins.
Oh, so they like bananas and raisins on top of their porridge. Absolutely delicious. Let's finally go to Badley Primary now and find out what your favourite topping was on top of your porridge.
My favourite topping was honey with hello, my name is Ruben, and my favourite topping was eggs and pumpkin seeds.
So we've got honey, strawberry and apple. That's quite a nice one.
Seems like honey.
There's somebody else like herbs on the top of there.
Yeah, why not?
Lovely. As I said, I like blueberry on the top of mine. How do you prefer yours, Peter?
Well, I like my porridge made with the coarse oats in the Scotch style with a little bit of salt on it.
Oh, salt
Just
on it.
a touch of salt.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I bet not many of the
Different.
children have tried that. Children,
Oh,
maybe
probably
you
not.
want
You could try
to
it,
give
couldn't
that a
you?
go. Put a little bit of salt on top of your porridge. It might taste completely different. A bit of a savoury bowl rather than a sweet bowl.
Right, yeah.
Well, now we know how we all enjoy our porridge. Let's find out a little bit more about how porridge gets from farm to fork.
Oaty porridge, from farm to fork. Although porridge can be made with lots of different grains, here in the UK we usually make porridge with oats. The new oat plants grow from seed and are generally sown in the latter part of the year, around the start of autumn. Once in the ground, the seeds have a few weeks to germinate before the weather turns colder. As the season changes to winter, the cold weather forces the germinated seed into a dormant state. This means it doesn't grow at all. This is so it can save all its energy to survive the cold winter months. Once spring arrives, the sun's warmth wakes the plant up and it begins to grow again. Here in the UK, oat plants grow well because they don't require hot summers. And they grow particularly well in Scotland because there's lots of rain and plenty of light. Depending on exactly when they were planted, the oats are harvested from midsummer onwards. The farmer checks that the oats are ready. Once he is happy, he will use a machine like this one called a combine harvester, which works its way through the field, cleverly separating the stem of the plant from the oats. The stems are pushed out of the back of the machine like this, and the oats are then collected ready for the next stage, the milling. The lorry loads of oats arrive at a mill like this one. This lorry is carrying 30 tons of oats. That's the same weight as 10 large hippos. The oats are inspected and a sample is taken. This is to make sure they are good enough to be made into porridge. Next, the oats are tipped into the intake pit. Then transferred to large structures called silos. This is where the oats are stored until they enter the mill. Once in the mill, the oats go through a series of machines that make sure they're properly cleaned, and that all the bits of straw and other things we don't want to eat are removed. The oats are then hulled in a big drum like this one. Hulling removes the tough outer part of the oat, but these parts aren't wasted. They are used for animal feed, leaving the softer inside part, called a groat, for us to eat. The next step is to put the groats into a kiln, which is a bit like a big oven. The oats are heated up, which helps them to retain their quality. To turn the groats into porridge oats, they are cut into pieces and squashed using this machine. Finally, the porridge oats are bagged like this, and then packed into boxes. They are then ready to be sent to a store for you to buy and enjoy for your breakfast.
Welcome back, children. We hope you enjoyed that. Give us a wave and a cheer in your classrooms if you enjoyed that video. great that you're really enjoying this online field. As you can see, we've been rejoined by Richard. We've still got Peter with us here as well. We're back at the top of the mill, which is where the oatmeal that we saw that was being ground downstairs comes back up through in huge sacks, ready for the growth or the baker to collect to go and make something nice and tasty with. So it's a really unique way, Peter, isn't it, of how the oatmeal gets up here. You don't have to lug it up the stairs, do you?
Would you like to see?
We'd love to see it, yes. Take it away, Peter.
Right. So, down below we've got a sack of oatmeal waiting to come up. It's fastened to this chain. Chain goes round the axle's driven by the wheel, the water wheel's going round underneath, and watch what happens. Everybody laughs. It's all the gearing working and turning round, yes.
So powerful.
Massive wheels.
It's so great, and it does, as I said, save you lugging all the way up the stairs, those huge bags. So I'm guessing they're very heavy indeed as well.
It was built 175 years ago, and it was built to last,
yes.
Good and solid.
Yeah, it did.
It's still here.
The floor feels a bit rickety though. Great stuff. So now the oatmeal's up here and gets collected, and it gets made into lots of amazing products.
We've got some of the products here that are made from oats in particular, haven't we?
Yes, Dan, not just oats, we can mix it and make muesli, bread, oat cakes, delicious homemade snapjacks, oat cakes again, and of course porridge. It's very versatile product.
Yeah, I'm sure there's quite a few products here that the children in the life were made using oats as well. We've got oat porridge there, we've got breakfast about porridge in a little while. I think children, it was important to remember that porridge is a really good breakfast for us because it contains folate and zinc, which is important to keep our immune system healthy. Magnesium and phosphorus, which is good to keep our bones and teeth nice and strong, and iron as well, which helps to fight fatigue, so it gives us lots of energy as well. I've learned so much. Our experts have been brilliant. I think we should get some questions for you now, though, if you don't mind. We'll go over to Greenway Primary School to see if anybody has some questions for Richard.
Hello, my name's Gary, and my question is, how many types of porridges are there in the world?
Really great question. So Gary would like to know, Richard, how many different types of porridge are there around the world?
Oh, good question, Gary. Probably hundreds, because we've got lots of different types of oats, and also in different countries where it's made with rice, or corn, or barley, so there's literally hundreds of different types of porridge.
Right. Really great question. Let's go to Madley Primary School now to find out if Miss Morris's class has a question.
Hello, my name is Ralph. I'd like to know how much money you'd make from a field of oats.
And that was Ralph, and Ralph would like to know how much money you can make from a field of oats.
Oh, God. I guess it depends on how big or how small the field is, but there's a lot of complexity going into milling the oats, so it's great value for money. But yeah, I guess it depends on how big or how small.
Right, really good question. Let's go to All Saints Primary School now to see if Mr. Williams' class has a question.
Hello. Our question is, which country grows the most oats and how many is that a year?
That's a really good question. So, Richard, which country grows the most oats and how many oats and how many oats a year?
Oh, that's great. That's a very good question. This is a country before, well, an awful lot of oats, but they're arable oats, right, for pasture, etc. For milling oats, the largest country probably is Canada, and then followed by India in the United and that's actually thousands and thousands of tons. It's an awful lot.
Right, so really good question. What land do oats grow on, like sand or grass? What's the best land?
Yes, okay, because they're a hardy crop, they love to provincial weather and sea sand, etc. They don't grow very well on sand or rocky ground, but just like good drainage soil. So this is
Really great questions, children, as well. They've obviously been thinking a lot about what they've been learning today before today with everything they've learned online. Thank you so much for taking part, children. Just one final question for both of you. What's the best thing about your job?
Well, I love it when just in development of porridges, and we'll try different toppings, different flavours, whether it be chocolate or strawberry or fruit, all these different things, and you eat it with all the senses. So I like to taste different recipes.
What about you, Peter?
Well, I think when we have a group of school children come here and tour the mill and see all the things that you've seen today, and they go away at the end of the day happy and smiling, really enjoy themselves, that's great pleasure.
Yeah, well, hopefully all our children will do exactly the same, because it has been amazing looking around the mill. Thank you so much. And so thank you so much for taking part today. If you'd like to take part in our next online field trip, you can do that. It's on the 15th of October. We'll be learning about fragrance spices. And if you'd like to take part in a farm to fork trail, everything you need to know is on our website. It really is lots of fun. And just look at the children that you can see on the screen right now. You can really get your hands stuck in. So get yourself signed up for that. That's on ourselves here. Richard, Peter and myself here at Bunbury Mill. It's goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Greenway Primary School. Goodbye, Magley Primary School. Goodbye, All Saints Primary School. Okay, so let's some porridge now, shall we? Yes. Good. There we go. That's your porridge. Yeah, there's some raisins, your favourite, and some banana for me as well. Yeah. Enjoy looking at all your different oats in the classrooms, children, and enjoy trying out some different toppings that you've learned on today's online field trip as well. Perhaps try out the salt. I'm going to try out the herby one as well.